Browns back at practice here on Wednesday, and Kevin Stefanski made it official. Shedeur Sanders will start on Sunday in Las Vegas against the Raiders. So, of course, that meant we got to hear from Shedeur Sanders today, and Mary Kay, he seems like he's ready. Finally, he's been waiting for this since draft night when he had to wait 2 days to get drafted. Now he's had to wait all the way here until week 12 to finally start a football game, but it is here.
It has been a journey for him. There is no question about that. But my big takeaway about him today is the fact that he is very, very confident heading into this football game. He says, I know I'm the guy. And he also said, you cannot miss this moment. So for him to be talking big like that, he's got big, big plans for this football game. He's so excited about the fact that he is taking all of the first-team reps in practice, the first-team reps that he has taken at all with this football team. And he's getting every single one of them this week. And he will also have a game plan designed specifically for him, and he can't wait.
Yeah, and Ashley, we've been through months of Shedeur Sanders press conferences. I remember back in training camp we talked about it. It's no surprise that he was very bold today and in the way he approached this, that he wasn't afraid to say what he expects of himself and some of those comments that Mary Kay referenced.
Yeah, it really, to me, Shedeur Sanders today, just the latest example of how much of a dynamic interview he is. I said that to our football insiders via text when we got back in from the locker room today. And look, it reminds me, too, of his combine availability, where he talked about how everywhere he's been, he's helped to turn a program around in the case of Jackson State and Colorado and get them back to winning. So he thought he'd be able to do that no matter where he landed in the NFL. And look, it's not exactly the time frame I think anyone expected. Shedeur even said that today in terms of him being ready to start this football game. But here we are, and as Mary Kay said, he'll have a game plan designed for him that they'll get to work on all week.
Now, the Browns have been putting the time into this to try and make Shedeur successful. Obviously, we've talked about the reps, but one thing that they have been doing, Mary Kay, is Kevin Stefanski has been meeting with him in the mornings, going over practice tape. So while maybe he hasn't been getting those first-team reps that he wants or some other folks want to see him get, they have been putting in some time kind of helping him learn from those hungry dog sessions and that work that he is getting in practice.
That's absolutely right. And I think what that shows is the notion that the Browns were trying to sabotage him or the fact that Kevin Stefanski didn't like him is absolutely preposterous. They have spent so much extra time with Shedeur Sanders to the point where they've completely altered their practice schedule all week to make sure that they're still two spotting in practice so that he could get work on a separate field. And then they do the hungry dog periods afterwards with all the young guys. And then once again, yes, he is spending time in Kevin Stefanski's office. Myles Garrett actually revealed that to us, that he comes in early in the morning and he sees Shedeur in there working with Kevin Stefanski one-on-one. So they've put a lot of time and effort into this, and I think it will show up on Sunday.
Yeah, and it reminded me when that came up, Ashley, of how Kevin O'Connell, last year when J.J. McCarthy was hurt, he'd carve out time each week to spend with J.J. McCarthy even though he wasn't playing. Like, this is how you develop a young quarterback when he's not able to get on the football field. You've got to find other ways. We talk about mental reps. We talk about stealing reps. You've got to find ways to develop that player even when he's not on the field.
Yeah, you do, and it sounds like they have tried these innovative ways, and we know all the other modalities they have here, including virtual reality and things like that they really installed last year and have been implementing. So it's interesting because, we asked Kevin Stefanski about this today and this idea of how can you simulate some of these things, and he acknowledged it is hard when you don't have game reps. And Shedeur even said, for as great as those hungry dog periods are and those reps are, you can't quite replicate game action without actual game reps. So that's part of the challenge.
Now, a big challenge for Shedeur, and this is where those first team reps are going to come in, is making sure that he can get the ball to Jerry Jeudy where he wants it. He can get the ball to David Njoku where he wants it. Now, David didn't practice today with that knee injury, so we'll see if he gets back out there. Harold Fannin, Cedric Tillman, all of these guys, Mary Kay, he's got to get up to speed quickly with them for this offense to be successful.
He really does, because most of his practice time, as we have mentioned, has come with guys like Gage Larvidan and Caden Davis and Luke Floria, Sal guys you might not have even really heard that much about. And so it's just been his young, hungry dog pals that he has developed all that chemistry with. But now he's just got to fast track it, and he's got to get it down with, again, David wasn't out there today. Hopefully for him, David will play, because David is not only obviously a big part of the passing game, but a huge part of the blocking game, and they're going to need that this week. But certainly he's got to have a lot going on this weekend with Ced Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, and Harold Fannin.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll, as Mary Kay, you've mentioned this, maybe they work in Gage Larvidan, maybe they work in some of these guys, but ultimately the success of this offense comes down to, can you get the ball to Jerry Jeudy? Can you make him dynamic? Can you make Ced Tillman dynamic? And that's really the task for Shedeur in the passing game this week.
Yeah, and I think we've seen this offense take, I would say, maybe an incremental step forward since, one, Ced Tillman returned, and two, Tommy Rees has started calling the plays. So I'm really curious to see what they dial up. But again, I always come back to that Joe Flacco quote from the beginning of the season about the offense is going to go how Jerry Jeudy goes. I do think you need Shedeur Sanders to be comfortable with Jerry Jeudy, because that's your top guy. You want him to get targets and get targets early.
Okay. Shedeur Sanders, he's starting on Sunday. Of course, we're going to cover it all leading up to it this week and on Sunday in Las Vegas, all at cleveland.com/Browns.